Listen to me carefully. This message isn't reaching you by accident. You didn't stumble here by chance. God is speaking to you directly, right now, and He's urging you to take action. You've been waiting, hesitating, doubting, overthinking, hoping for a sign. But this is it. This is your confirmation. The time you've been waiting for has already arrived. You can feel it deep inside your chest. That gentle pull that keeps whispering, move, now. It's not anxiety. It's not random emotion. It's the voice of God calling you into motion. For too long, you've been praying for change, but ignoring the instructions that come with it. You've been asking for new doors, while standing far from the hallway. You've been wanting miracles, but you haven't yet moved your feet. And God says, my child, I've already placed everything you need within you. But if you keep waiting for the perfect time, you'll wait forever. The door won't open until you walk toward it. Faith doesn't work without action. And right now, heaven is urging you to act. Before we go deeper, I want you to pause for a moment, right now, and let me know in the comments if you can feel this message resonating with you. Because when you write it, you're not just typing words. You're declaring to the universe, I'm ready. Say it, I'm ready. Because the moment you speak it out, things begin to shift. You've been sensing something changing in your spirit lately, haven't you? A restlessness, a discomfort with where you are. That's not confusion. That's God stirring your heart because He's preparing you for movement. When you outgrow a place, God will make it uncomfortable to stay there. You'll lose interest in old habits. You'll feel disconnected from certain people. You'll start questioning what once satisfied you. That's His way of saying, you've learned enough here. It's time to go further. But many people mistake this divine discomfort for punishment or chaos. They think God has forgotten them. They think the silence means He's gone. Yet, the truth is, silence is often His loudest call. Because in stillness, He awakens your awareness. He makes you see that everything you were waiting for has been waiting for you to move. And that's where faith becomes more than a word. It becomes a force. Faith is not just belief. It's motion. It's courage dressed as obedience. It's walking toward what you can't yet see because you trust who told you to go. Faith doesn't always make sense. It doesn't always feel comfortable. Sometimes it means leaving what's familiar. The job, the relationship, the place to step into something unseen. And the hardest part, you don't get proof before you move. You get confirmation after you act. That's how God works. Think about Abraham. God told him to go to a land He would show him, not a land he'd describe first. Meaning, the map didn't come until the journey began. The same goes for you. You're asking God to show the entire path, but He's saying, just take the first step. Because once you move, clarity comes. Once you act, opportunities begin to appear. Once you trust, the invisible becomes visible. But fear is what's been holding you back. The fear of failing. The fear of starting over. The fear of what people will think. And God says, stop feeding your fear more than your faith. Because fear is loud, but it's powerless once you decide. It only controls you if you keep listening to it. Do you realize that most people never step into their divine purpose, not because they lack faith, but because they never use it? God has already given you everything, the vision, the talent, the intuition, the resources. But you've been waiting for validation from others before you begin. And God says, you don't need their approval for what I've already anointed you to do. Stop asking people who don't understand your calling for permission to walk in it. They weren't in the room when I designed you. They don't hear what I whisper to you at night. You're not crazy. You're called in your daily life. You've seen signs, things aligning in ways you can't explain. Random conversations that speak exactly what you were thinking. Dreams that seem too specific to ignore. Situations that keep repeating themselves, testing your patience and trust. That's not coincidence. That's divine repetition. God's way of saying, until you learn this lesson, I can't take you to the next level. Every delay, every detour, every no was not rejection. It was redirection. Maybe right now you're feeling tired. You've prayed, but you haven't seen results. You've fasted, but nothing seems to move. You've cried, wondering if God is still listening. But what if I told you your breakthrough has already been dispatched? It's just waiting for you to move into position. You're standing at the edge of a shift, but you have to step forward to claim it, God says. You keep asking me to open new doors, but your hands are still holding the old ones shut. You're afraid to let go. You're afraid of starting from zero. But remember this, when you release what no longer serves your spirit, you make room for what truly belongs to you. Sometimes God won't give you new blessings until you free your grip from what's expired. Let me remind you of something powerful. Every great story in Scripture required a step of action. Noah had to build before the rain came. Moses had to lift his staff before the Red Sea parted. David had to step into the battlefield before Goliath fell. Esther had to enter the king's court before deliverance came. Action activates miracles, and the same principle applies to you. You can't pray for change and stay the same. Some of you have ideas, businesses, dreams, ministries, sitting inside you, waiting. You've been saying, I'm waiting on God. But God says, I'm waiting on you. He gave you the seed, but you must plant it. He gave you the voice, but you must speak. He gave you the vision, but you must move your feet. You're not stuck. You're paused. And the only way to unpause is to act in faith, not fear. Every day you wake up with a choice to stay comfortable or to grow. Growth always feels like risk because it takes you into the unknown. But remember, the unknown to you is already known to God. He's already gone ahead. He's already cleared the path. You're not walking into darkness. You're walking into destiny. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine your future self looking back at this very moment. Would they thank you for moving forward or regret that you didn't? Would they smile knowing you trusted or sigh knowing you hesitated? Don't let fear write your story. Let faith write it. God says, I didn't bring you this far to leave you here. I didn't prepare you for nothing. Act, my child. Step out, even if your legs shake. Faith is not a feeling. It's a decision. You may not feel brave, but move anyway. You may not feel ready, but start anyway. You may not have it all figured out, but go anyway. Because once you move, grace follows. Once you begin, provision appears. Heaven responds to movement. God blesses steps, not stagnation. You've been praying for God to show you signs, and He's been showing them, but in ways you didn't expect. That closed door, it was protection. That unexpected delay, it was preparation. That person walking away, it was alignment. Everything that didn't make sense before will make perfect sense. When you step into the next chapter, and here's the truth, many people talk about faith, but few live it. They say, I trust God, but they trust only when they can predict the outcome. Real trust is when you can't see the outcome, yet you keep going. Trust is when you wake up and choose to believe that God is still working, even when the evidence says otherwise. That's where breakthroughs are born. If you're hearing this message, it's not random. It's divine timing. You've reached a point in your life where hesitation is the enemy of destiny. You've been equipped. You've been trained by every hardship, every disappointment, every sleepless night. God didn't waste your pain. He used it to prepare you. Now He's saying, move. Think about your daily routines, the hours you scroll, the time you waste on worry, the energy you give to fear. Imagine if you redirected that into building what God told you to build, into learning, into creating, into giving. That's how transformation begins, not through miracles that fall from the sky, but through obedience that walks on the ground. You see, awareness is the start of change. Once you become aware that your waiting is actually avoidance, everything shifts. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. You start realizing that God never asked you to be perfect. He just asked you to be willing. Willing to try. Willing to trust. Willing to begin. Every morning, heaven releases new mercy and new chances. Yet, many people repeat the same fears every day. They keep saying, someday I'll start. But someday is a thief. It steals dreams quietly. God is urging you, don't let someday steal what could be yours today. I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? Let me ask you this, what if you don't? What if everything you've prayed for is on the other side of one small act of faith? Failure is not falling. Failure is refusing to move. You can't lose when you move in obedience, because even what looks like a loss becomes a lesson that carries you closer to destiny. God's message for you right now is simple yet powerful. You've waited long enough. It's time to act. No more analyzing. No more procrastinating. No more saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Your tomorrow begins the moment you say yes. And once you do, the universe rearranges itself to support that decision, because faith unlocks alignment.